All right, the live stream should be there.
Yeah, there may be a little bit of delay. I'll keep checking, but I don't actually see it there yet. It's got the symbol that says that we're currently live, but I'm not seeing the video. Oh, it just popped up. So yeah. I'll take care of sharing it to you, Facebook.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you, Rick.
Yeah, and please check for comments on the YouTube and the Facebook, just because I'm not going to be able to do all that and everything else.
I am on my phone tonight, so I will not be able to do comments on YouTube.
All right, I guess other thing is I need to pull up my minutes so I can actually record those in real time.
I guess one good thing about using my phone is that I can have both screens open at one time. I am on my phone tonight, so I will not be able to do.
We've got a delay that's looping audio back into the.
Other thing is I need to pull up my minutes.
Is somebody got YouTube playing in the background?
The only things I have open are Zoom and the agenda.
That might have been a me problem.
I already did that once. I made sure not to do it again.
Do we discount this as user error?
Yep.
Documents, agendas. Get the copy here.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Okay, good. I've got my notes for minutes up.
Okay.
So, and I guess it's officially 6:31, so we can start whenever you want, Mr. Chair, or if you want to wait for more people to show up to you.
I was gonna say, have we heard from Ty or?
Well, I think that's Ty.
I was about to say somebody's connecting. Let's see who it is.
Mr. Fred.
Oh, now I see Fred. Earlier, it just said connecting is all it said. All right. Well, now it says connecting again. I guess Ty has bad audio. Do we know if Brian's coming?
I haven't seen anything from him one way or the other.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Mr. Fred.
Yeah, I was just actually on the phone with Brian. I don't know if he's coming or not. Give me a second. I'll ask him. He's still on the phone talking to my wife.
Oh.
Hey, is Brian going to the meeting?
Are you going to be on the meeting? Libertarian? Yeah.
Well, everybody's asking.
Everyone's asking.
Yes or no?
Speak now. I'll be there.
Oh.
All right.
No pressure. Okay. He said he'll be here in a couple of minutes.
It's up to you, Mr. Chair. You want to wait for Brian to make his grand entrance?
Yeah, we're good. He can be late. That's okay. All right. The time is. Ooh, that is the wrong button. The time is 6:32.
All right.
Hey, there's Mr. Ty. 6:32. I'll go ahead and call it to order. Attendance and quorum. We have 6 on screen. Mr. Secretary, please note, Brian said he's coming and we do have quorum.
All right, I will note down the attendance as appropriate. Yep, because we have all 3 officers and we have 3 voting members, so we're good either way.
Moving
Hi,
on,
Rick.
adoption of, oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I'm just saying hi to Rick. My bad.
Oh.
I
All
don't
right,
believe I've met Fred. I don't believe I've met you, Fred.
Mm-mm. I'm new.
yeah,
So,
this is Ty's adopted Zoom name.
Oh, is it? Well, you know,
Yes.
it's pretty hard to lurk when you enable your video, dumbass.
All right, let's, anyone want to adopt the agenda?
I'll adopt it.
Moved by Fred.
I'll second. Oh, wait a minute, I can't vote.
Yeah. Sorry, Rick, we need somebody to second.
I'll second.
Second by Marie. Anyone against the agenda, say aye. With that, it's voted in unanimously. Agenda's approved. Moving on to minutes. Has anybody read through the minutes
No.
Yes.
and would
I'll-
like to make a motion?
I'll motion to approve minutes.
Motion by Tice, Mr. Peel, sir. Anyone to
All
second?
I'll second.
3 seconds.
Seconded by Marie. All those, anyone against the minutes, please say aye. Noting no one against the minutes, it's unanimous approval of minutes. Moving on to officer reports. Chair report, I have none this month. Going to vice chair report. Ty, do you have anything?
I have none.
None from Ty. Moving on to secretary report. Mr. Peel.
I have a brief report. So I've been tracking our membership. We currently have 3 executive committee members seated and 1 vacant. We have 8 current voting members. As far as associate members, we have 4 active within the past year and 19 estimated inactive. I'm still going through the backlog of records to figure out how many people actually signed a membership form or were otherwise grandfathered in. Actions taken. I published the minutes that we just approved, maintained the membership records, and did some light posting on X, where we gained 1 follower for a total of 302. Facebook, we actually lost 4 followers, so I'm not sure what's up with that. And our reach and engagement has been a little rough, but we also haven't been posting a whole lot, so that's probably why. Goals that I probably won't be able to achieve before the annual business meeting, looking at my schedule, but still goals nonetheless, is update our website to show the candidates that are currently filed that are LP members that will be on our ballot. Also update our website to show the LPF or the LPBC rather, executive committee and committee chairs. Honestly, that can probably wait until after January. Just so we don't have to redo it again then. And then I also would like to, at some point, resume work on a candidate support policy and start reviewing the 2024 charter amendments at the local level. So those are goals that I hope to achieve next year, or assist incoming secretary to achieve if it's not me. That's my secretary's report.
All right, do we have any questions for the secretary report?
Very nice report, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Former Secretary.
All right, moving on to the treasurer report. Mr. Peel, you are up again, sir.
Yes, sir. So our statement this month is we have $5,780.31 cash on hand. Since our last meeting, we have raised $297.99 and spent $107.65 for a net income of $198.12. Year to date, we have raised $3,369.23 and spent $4,143.07 for a net loss of $774.49. While not where I would like to be, that loss is less than the overdue amount we paid on the facility rental. So if you subtract that out, we are ahead for the year. Could be better, could be worse. I have the detailed accounting available for any members who would like to see it. We did make 2 merchandise sales since our last meeting, so I was happy about that. I did want to check with Donna to make sure you actually received the merchandise we shipped you.
Yes, I did. Thank you. It's very
Fan-
good. I like it.
Fantastic. I'm sorry for the delay in getting that to you.
Oh, no problem.
And then, yeah, the issue had been last month that the I think it was a Printify had disconnected our payment account and was holding all shipments until we fixed that. Would have been nice if they ever actually told us. But it sounds like that's fixed, so that's good to hear. All right. So other than that, nothing really in-depth to report. The only other item of note I have is I did receive an email from Clover, which is our in-person credit card processor, that they will be changing their pricing structure starting in February 1st. If I'm reading it correctly, that means we will go from our current paid tier to a free tier, so we won't have to pay a monthly fee anymore. So assuming that's true, that's nice. That saves us $5 a month. I didn't see anything else in that was really relevant, so that's all I have for the treasurer's report. Oh, the next official report will be to the government will be due on January 10th.
You said January 10?
Yes.
Okay. Do we
I
have
have a
any
question
questions
for the treasurer.
Go right ahead, Mr. Rick, you have the floor.
Mr. Bobbitt's name has come up recently because he's a candidate for Commission District 1. Did we ever resolve the sign issue or get a refund of our $75 or get a sign?
Mr. Chair, do you have an answer to that question? I did not take any action on this.
So no, to answer the question directly, no, we had no resolution because Mr. Bobbitt was fired from that position. And the incoming people pretty much have said, well, that wasn't us. So we could continue pushing it if we want, but I don't think we're going to get anywhere. We keep getting pushed to the side about it.
So are we considering that 75 a donation for the couple of times they loaned us equipment then?
Yeah, that's about all we can do is I mean, we could argue, but I just feel like at this point it's a waste of time.
So Mr. Bobbitt no longer works for Keep Brevard Beautiful?
He has not in a while. They relieved him of his duty for running for commission.
They relieve him for cause, or do you what information do you
I
have on
don't
that?
have the official for cause. I only have his reports, and he was very adamant that they were not happy he was running for commission.
Oh, so that was like a resign to run kind of thing, conflict maybe?
Yeah, we can call it that.
Okay, all right. So we're basically just going to write that off as a donation then for borrowing their.
I mean, it was already an expense made. The only question would be if we get a refund back, which.
Right.
Well, I think that was always considered they asked for a donation and they recommended 75 to get a sign, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now
and since
I don't
they're
know
a not-for-profit, it was the same deal that we do of make a donation and you get a free gift in return.
Right. Did anybody ever pursue whether or not it would cost more than that for a sign, or have we dropped completely sponsoring a park?
So actually, I did follow up with Feltner on that, but that was gosh, I can't.
I remember that. I remember that he came over and said, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll help you with that."
Yeah, and I went to his office and we talked about it. We got Parks and Rec involved, and basically we got told, "Yeah, we'll tell you how much it is. We'll tell you how much it is," and then we got told, "No, you can't pay more."
So Mary Ellen Donner basically said that.
Mary Ellen Donner said, "We'll get back to you. We'll get back to you." And then Keep Brevard Beautiful is like, "Oh, well, we're just, we're not pursuing that." And I have yet to see anybody else get a sign since then.
Well, okay.
Now they may be doing it, but I haven't seen any new signs go up, at least anywhere where I'm at.
Well, they were supposed to come up with some new policy on what it would cost, and I guess since Bobbitt dropped out, do you know who replaced Bobbitt over there?
I don't know. No.
Okay.
Not offhand.
Well, he'll be. I'm going to be talking to him shortly because he's a candidate for my district. So interesting. All right. Hey, thanks. That's all I wanted to know.
Yeah. I wish we had a different answer on that, but it sounds like there was a lot of, shall we say, passing the blame and not my problem going on by a lot of people involved.
Yeah.
A lot of people in government.
I just feel bad that we kind of, if you want to say we kind of dropped the ball there, I thought $75, we didn't hold them accountable. And then we never got a sign. We never got closure. And, with the turmoil of Bobbitt getting fired, whatever, but I don't know. I thought, that was originally, I think that was Brian Fleming's idea. Let's get a park. We could get our name on it. It would be a little free advertising, and we could use it as an event to go to have something to get together. And we did a cleanup over there, and I thought that was a good thing. That was an event to do. It drew in some people that were sympathetic to our party that could have become members. I don't know that it was a bad idea. It turned into something that was, I guess it illustrates how bad that whole bureaucracy is. I just feel bad that we kind of dropped that and didn't hold them accountable.
We did a records request. I don't remember what month it was, but I sent in a records request for anyone who had gotten a sign since we started that process in the January 21 or 22, whatever month it was. I think it was January 22. And I said, I want to know how many people have gotten a sign since then. I expected it to be, 50 different people, and we were just getting past a buck. Turns out it was, I think the number was 4. And 2 of them were individuals involved in government, if I remember right. And 2 of them were big time sponsors and big time businesses. Like,
I guess the point is that, we asked for a sign, we didn't get it, and we basically rolled over. We let them take our $75 and feed us a bunch of bullshit. That doesn't sit well with me, really. So I would have thought that we should have pursued that better and gotten closure and held them accountable. One of my big things is accountability. And if Wayne's out, then what's the guy that's over there now? It's like, dude, what's the deal? We said we were going to get a sign. Are you pursuing that? I don't know. I can just ask anybody that's in this meeting. Do you think that's something we should have? I thought that was going to help to kind of solidify a monthly or an every other month activity that we could have to kind of draw attention to ourselves. And it seemed like it went away, but nobody seems to give a shit.
Well, we still did have cleanups even without the sign. Not having the sign didn't stop us from having cleanups, but we had maybe 1 or 2 extra people show up each time. And then at some point, I think there was one that it was going to be just Greg and I. So at some point it just kind of fell off because it's like, well, if we got to have people going. And if the point more the sign or the point having people engaged and showing up, no other ones got planned. I would go back and do park cleanups for the sake of doing park cleanups because I enjoy them. But we got a couple extra people here and there, but nothing like, we never had like 15 people show up or anything like that, with the exception of the convention. So I think after we did the records requests and talking to the county commissioners, and they still not following through, short of going in and making a ruckus at the county commission, at some point it just became, well, what is our priority, I guess. But that's just my opinion. I wouldn't be against doing park cleanups again. We just gotta, if that's something people want to come to and show up, if our own people aren't available for it, then it doesn't do a lot of good, because then there's nobody there to meet the few new people that show up, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Brian's
but
hand is up.
I always thought that was an opportunity for us to get our name out there and show we were doing something, and I thought it was a valid thing. It was we're kind of like committing to a project, and there was, I see that Mr. Brian Fleming has joined, and I thought that was a great thing that we tried to do. And I just feel bad that we kind of let the government beat us down and we never followed up. I think we should hold them accountable to that. And they took $75 and I don't know what the fuck happened to it, but that was an opportunity for us to have the, if not for any other reason than it forced us, because when you sign up for those sponsoring a park, you commit to doing it so many times a year. And that would have been an opportunity for us to get together and say, hey, we're doing this. We would have a sign. We'd say, hey, we're actively involved in the civics of the community. I think we missed a major boat there. And I think Brian was right to say, hey, let's show how we're impacting the community. I mean, Mr. Fleming, if you feel free to comment on what you thought that was, I thought it was a great idea. I just feel like we didn't follow through and we're letting the bureaucracy kick our ass.
All right, Brian, the floor is yours. You've got your hand up.
Hey, thanks, Nathan. I don't disagree. And I don't hold it against anybody that's on the, I don't hold that against anybody. But I think that I think it's something that we should pursue, because I do think that someone has to be held accountable, because I know they said, well, it's not in my district. It has no, in my opinion, it has nothing to do with district. It has to do with, we are an entity. We are trying to help the community, whether it be the communist socialists of America or whether it be, the Republicans of Brevard County. It doesn't matter. If it's somebody that's willing to organize and give their time, then it should be an equal and fair opportunity to do that. And by them just sort of, slow rolling it and stuff, it just sort of, it took the wind out of our sails, unfortunately. And then, then other things happen and so on and so forth. But I think it's something that we should pick up and push for, because I think it's important. If four other people have gotten that opportunity, then them telling us that we haven't, then there's something wrong. That's something I think we could push the buttons on. It's just whether we have the manpower and time to do it. That's ultimately what it comes down to. I'm willing to make calls or help out where I can to do it, but I do think it's a good thing. I know one of the discussions was, when it sort of started waning, was that, maybe we wanted to have in different areas instead of just one park. I know that was a discussion that we sort of kicked around also. I have a counter to that, but it's, and for me, it's just a normalcy of we're going to meet here on this date at this time. So it's less to figure out and organize, blah, blah, blah. But that's neither here nor there. It just depends on what direction we want to go. I think that's something, I think it's important for us to have something like that, and to have our name, Libertarian Party of Brevard County, on a sign, is a government issued sign, I'm putting air quotes around it, is important. I think, and it makes it easier on the events committee, because, once a quarter, I think it's supposed to be, Maria will will correct me on that, but I think it's once a quarter we're supposed to have a cleanup. So that's once a quarter. That's one thing. That's 4 times a year that's easy to plan, that we know that on, all you have to do is designate the months. And if anybody from the people that are here and during this meeting, if one person shows up, then they're going to be able to tell the other people, hey, this is what we're doing, blah, blah, blah. So, and it's not to put it all on Nathan or anybody else in here. I think we all have the around the same opportunity. I may have a little more time on my hands than other people, but I still think it's a good idea to do that type of thing. And that's just my opinion. And I'm willing to help if we need to push to get it recharged and see what they say. I mean, I think maybe we attack it from different positions. I'll send an email, if everybody in the district sends a separate email, I think maybe we get something done, but I'm not sure. I'm open to listen to anything. I'm not that's not to denigrate anybody's efforts. I think everybody's doing the best they can with what they got. So, but I still think it's a good idea personally. But
Mr. Chair, may I speak since this came up on my report?
sorry, sorry, Greg.
Yeah, go ahead, Greg. And then
So-
after Greg, Marie has her hand raised.
You can raise your hand.
I do think it's a great event. I have no objection to somebody taking up trying to hunt down and quote unquote hold people accountable, given that what we did was a charitable donation to a not-for-profit. I don't know what accountability you think you can achieve, but I'm certainly not opposed to it if someone else with time is willing to hunt that down. I'd be willing to give any records you need on that, but I do not have the time to go down this rabbit hole myself. However, if I do agree that as a quarterly event, this was something that I thought was a good idea, would be happy to resume. Whether or not we have a sign, I don't even think was the critical piece. It was just that the sign was a beneficial add-on for basically using taxpayer funds to subsidize advertising us, which I always appreciate that irony. So that's my long-winded way of saying I would be fine with empowering Brian or anyone else to run this down to bed. It's just not going to be me.
right,
I'd
Marie?
like to add, can I add something to that, or after Marie?
Let Marie go first. She's been waiting, and then you can go.
I
Rick is
don't
on
know how
deck.
you raise your hand. How the hell do you do that?
There's a little button.
There's a button. Oh my
The
God.
reactions button.
Reactions?
Yeah, it's like a little smiley face with the plus sign on it.
Oh, sweet action. I'm gonna raise my fucking hand now.
Okay.
No,
So,
I clapped. Sorry.
It does look, looking at their information, that they have appointed a new interim executive director, Tammy Lazone, and they do list both her email address and a phone extension for her on the website. The event and volunteer coordinator that I spoke with a lot, that would provide the actual materials to me, that she didn't have anything to do with the paperwork, but she was really nice on trying to coordinate with us. She is still there too, Christina Fannin. So probably the first thing would be contacting Tammy Lazone. And if there's someone in particular that wants to take charge of that, I can give them the information. It does look like they've had a little bit of change up in their actual board too. There's a couple big names that were there before that I don't see now. So I guess it would start out by going, are they even still doing that program anymore? Are they doing signs for anybody? What is our status? Because we paid for this and we went in limbo. Can you work with us?
Mhm.
So I see Brian says he will do it. So Brian, I will send you directly the contact information for Tammy. And I think she'd probably be the place to start for that.
Thank you, Marie. Rick, you're up.
Hey, I just feel like it's like, hey, are we going to do something or we're not? And then I like the idea. I hate to see that Brian steps up. It was originally his concept. I just felt like it fell through the cracks and nobody, you have to have a plan to say, we're going to follow this up. And I don't want to dump on somebody else, but I just feel like it's an open issue. We need to make a decision and say, is this something that we want to do? Is it still something we want to do? And if it is, then we need to have the authority to say, let's do that. Too many times that I poke at them, and I poked at them a little bit. I talked to Brian Bobbitt during that time and said, hey, what's the deal, dude? Because I wanted to see what the county, I thought this was something that a county throw up a roadblock. And I'm not so sure that was true. But the county came back, they negotiated a deal, but then we never pursued, hey, we paid our $75. Do we owe you more? Do we owe you less? Are we getting a sign or aren't we? We just dropped it. And I think that sets a really bad example, because that's, you've got to say, hey, somebody's got a red X on their forehead and we're going to do this or we're not. And I don't know. I thought it was a great idea that was going to almost force us to say, hey, we need to stay engaged. We've got a commitment to the parks. We're going to clean up that park and we're going to use it as a prepaid, if you will, a prepaid event that we can all get together. Bring some beers, sit down. Do we have to go above and beyond and get rent one of the little tiki hut things or whatever and shoot the crap but I mean, my God, it was a perfect opportunity to do that. And I just feel like we kind of dropped the ball. I don't want to dump it on Brian. I mean, it was Brian's idea, and I think what he thought was a great idea, but a little follow through and closure would be nice. And I'll work with Brian to make that happen. But if they come back and say they want more money, what is our answer? Is it something we want to do?
Mr. Chair, may I address Rick's point real quick?
Go ahead, Greg. Yes, sir.
We created an events committee that has full authority to do this without even the approval of this board. They already have $1,000 budget. The person you need to convince is Ty and anyone else on his committee.
Is that son of a bitch in this meeting right now?
So, I mean, I personally would be in favor with it if Ty thinks it's a good use of the committee funds and purpose. But
Is he in this meeting? Where is he?
That's hurtful.
Hey, Fred, what the fuck, dude?
So,
I changed my name just for you, Rick.
yeah.
What?
And
See that?
on that note, my suggestion would be if we want to continue this discussion in depth, either we move it to the events committee report or follow it up on Discord after the meeting so we can proceed with the order of business.
If Ty's gonna do a report, I'd love to hear what he has to say, because I think that's, I'm in favor, but I don't want to dump on anybody. And if Brian's willing to step up, I'm stepping up, but I'm not gonna step up and then no action be taken. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I wouldn't have an issue with trying to start coordinating a cleanup event again, if that's what, we want to do.
We
need to do something. There hasn't
let's
been
take
an
this
event in how
action
long?
step then. Brian, if you would send that email, and then at the annual, we're gonna have to reapprove all the budgets for Ty to be allowed to do that after the annual.
Oh,
So
dude.
we can make the vote then, and Ty, you'll have all the power to do all the event cleanups all year, whichever you'd like. Okay?
Use it or lose it, Ty. Use it or lose it, buddy. You're in the
All right.
government. You know the deal.
All right. Moving over to let's go on to Director at Large report is vacant. The Libertarian Party of Florida report. Did we have anybody in that meeting last night?
I was in that meeting if you would like for me to speak to it.
Absolutely. If you've got a couple things from that meeting, go right ahead.
Yeah. Well, there were 4 motions at that meeting. The first motion was to replace the chair of the Affiliate Support Committee. The new chair is now Michael Smith from Brevard County, which is interesting because they only have a one month left until the convention, but I guess it's so that there was somebody there to actually give the convention report. Did we just lose Nathan?
No, I'm here.
Okay, my UI is being weird. So anyways, the Affiliate Support Committee now has a new chair. The Rules Committee moved a motion to completely rewrite the LPF standing rules, which needless to say, I might know a thing or two about that. Basically, we realized that 80% of their standing rules were out of order or otherwise redundant because they were already in the bylaws and constitution. So we axed all that and cleaned up the rest and put together a simplified version of the standing rules for the EC, which they adopted. I already see Mr. Fleming has his hand up. Do we want to stop for questions now?
I can, if you want me to, Greg. Mine's a simple question.
Okay. I guess the other 2 motions are pretty straightforward, so I'll just mention those and then we'll go for it.
Thanks, sir.
So the third motion was also from the Rules Committee, and it was spelling and grammar cleanup on the Constitution to match the same cleanup that was already approved for the bylaws, and that was adopted. And then the fourth motion was to authorize 1,500 of party funds for the convention merch table for the state party to have things like shirts. That was amended down to $500 and then adopted. So the state party will have merch at their merch table, allegedly. I think they're going to be using a local printer in Jacksonville to do it rather than Printify, but otherwise it'll be similar designs to what they already have. Something like that. I didn't follow all of it. So that was the business that I recalled being conducted. The LNC alternate also gave an update on the national party where they've pretty much, I guess they've committed to abandoning the Civi CRM from the national party, and they're developing a transition plan to help affiliates using it get away from it. So, I mean, it was inevitable, but I am still entertained to hear that. Well, so that's all
Mr.
I have
Brian.
from the LPF meeting.
Brian, the floor is yours.
Who was the affiliates? Was it Christina Baxter?
It was Christina Baxter before.
And she resigned?
I do not have the exact details. As far as it was relayed to me, she just simply stopped showing up.
That happens a lot.
So I believe that was interpreted as a constructive resignation.
All right. Do we have any other questions for about LP Florida? Point of information, whoever joined us and has an iPhone 9, if you would like to be accounted for attendance, please make sure you either contact the secretary or change your name so we know, put it in the chat so we know who you are here so we can account for you. Thank
It's
you.
Ashley.
Ashley. Hey, Ashley.
Okay, I'll credit you for attendance. You are still a voting member, so everything's good to go there.
All right, moving on to committee reports. Marie, do you have anything from outreach?
A couple things. Did general updates on the website, security updates that were needed. I believe it's end of this month, beginning of next month is when the actual domain information or domain registration would be up for renewal, which I believe we already have funding for, but the reason I bring it up is because that is the last piece that is still on DreamHost, and I plan to move that over to Cloudflare at the recommendation of Chris Wiggins, who we have our hosting through. And we're already using them for part of our service. It would just be where the registration for our domain is actually located through. And I don't know about you guys, I will be very happy to drop any connection to DreamHost. That would be our last connection to them. There was an item that I think was a previous month, but then I had forgotten to report it, is that at a request of one of our members, Brian Fleming, there was a email campaign that we put out that was letters for peace, anti-war letters, going to the elected federal officials that are here in Florida. And we had sent that out and had basically a letter that, or I think we had, what, 2 or 3 options, Brian? We had a couple options there so they could, choose kind of what angle they wanted to take, and provided the information, the contact information that we could find for those officials, and basically encourage them, hey, please send this letter or something else in your words to them. It didn't get a lot of traction. It kind of like got about the same amount of opens as our normal emails, but we did put it out there and try to get people to interact with their elected officials, and try and push for peace from a couple different angles on that. So I'm glad that we did that, and I appreciate Brian's suggestion and help on that. I also have our updated, we just got the disc today for voter registration for December, and we are at 1,980. So we're still kind of in the same range. There's not been a whole lot of movement. And upcoming goals would be to advertise whatever we decide to do for our annual business meeting.
Do we have any questions for outreach? With no questions for outreach, we'll go ahead and move it on to events committee. Ty?
I don't really have much of a report. It's the past 2 months have been pretty jam-packed with stuff that personally that I've had to take care of. So I haven't had an opportunity to really schedule any types of events. If I'm still in this position next year, hopefully we'll be able to do a lot more stuff in the beginning of the year. Well, beginning of the year and throughout the year. But that's really all I have. We could maybe discuss doing, if we want to do a park cleanup, maybe upcoming when we have our next meeting, or we want to do that like we did last time. We had like a park cleanup and then a meeting afterwards or something. We could do that, but that's really all I have.
All right, thank you, Ty. We are gonna go through Gala committee as vacant, so there's no report there. Public officials and candidate reports. This is for anybody who is running for office that wants to have the floor, or anyone in office that would like to have a floor. Brian, do we have a soil and water that you want to report on? If not, it's cool.
I'll make it quick. We basically had
that's gonna happen.
Yeah. Oh, I have so many jokes for you, Rick, but that's okay.
Well.
I'll leave it to go. We just had basically a luncheon this month, And then we had basically two things of business. We just hired Anna. She was a college graduate from Florida, and she is now leaving to go work with Disney. So she was on board for like 2 or 3 months, and now she's already got a better job. So she's leaving. So we have to go through the whole hiring process again. And
She's going to be a groomer. That's great.
I have other jokes I could put on that, but that's okay.
Brian, are you suggesting that Disney pays better than the government, specifically the soil and water government?
Well, no, she was working for IFAS. So she was the
okay,
coordinator for us. She wasn't a soil and water, but she was coordinator. So she was sort of our go between IFAS and us. So she did most of the organization stuff for soil and water, which is strange, but still, that's how it worked. And she's going to be making less there, but the job is more, it's an internship, not really job. It's an internship. She goes, but I may be back in 6 months. I'm like, well, it's going to take us 6 months to find someone to hire. So that could happen. What was the other thing? Super. Oh, because they haven't given us updates on the new law, so we didn't know if we had to redesignate the people that weren't voted into office. So we discussed that, and we're researching that to find out if we have to redesignate them, reappoint them. Reappoint is a better word. Reappoint them to the Soil and Water Board, or
Yeah,
if,
that's
or
great.
what the rules are for that.
Good
So,
job, Ron DeSantis, appointing people, unelected officials into positions. That's great.
yeah. So we're still we're waiting to hear back from the state for that stuff. And that was it. So that's all I got. Unless anybody has any questions for Soil and Water Board stuff. And Nathan, I never heard from that lady, the person you were talking about.
That's okay.
So that's all I got.
Jesus, unstable.
All right, thank you. I will note that as a candidate, I did go to Titusville City Hall to be put up for the Board of Adjustments and Appeals again. I went through that hearing process for the third time and got passed on again for Titusville. They went with another older guy who has connections with the city council. And he's been through the process, and he's got, the degrees from the state-sponsored schools. So they went with him. So I got passed on that one and moved on. Brian, go ahead.
What kind of schools do you have to go through for that? And are they free, or are they paid, or you have to pay for them?
What do you mean? No. When I say state, I mean state universities like Florida.
Oh.
I think he had I think his degree was directly through Florida, UF.
Okay, I thought you meant it was like certificates or something like that.
No. State. I meant state university, not private university. I'm sorry
Okay.
if I said
No.
Nathan, what position were you trying to get on? Were you trying to get on a board?
Board of Adjustments and Appeals.
Board of Adjustments and Appeals. So that was like when Brevard County opens them up for the citizen committees. Is that a citizen committee?
The Board of Adjustments and Appeals is the people who are basically the judge and jury for all the appeals against the building and construction decisions. So if you're denied a permit and you want a variance and you want to be able to do it, you have to go to the Board of Adjustments and Appeals, and they decide if the law is crazy and you get to do it or not. That's a really basic way of explaining it.
That's a voluntary position that you would be selected by one of the, okay.
The council appoints them.
I applied to be on the budget review committee, and I haven't heard back. Whatever.
So I encourage any, this is my third time applying for that same position because it's the one position in the city that my background allows me to do. I do every day with construction, so I understand it and I understand the laws regarding them very well. But they want urban planners. Titusville wants urban planning and code enforcement type people. The last person I lost to was a code enforcement.
So
in other words, they want people to
did they
deny
show
the
you the
claims,
ranking
not
and
approve them.
stacking of evaluating your application?
No,
You
not
see how
really.
you lost?
It was head to head, and they were just like, basically, he looks better on paper, and that's what they said. They said he looks better on paper. We're going with him.
Well, that's all they have is paper.
Yep.
Well,
See, Nathan, you have expertise in it, so that means you're not qualified. Come on. Haven't you
well,
figured this out yet?
yeah.
Greg.
Well, that's,
Yeah, the joke I made too was that they want someone to reject the appeals, not to approve them.
Yeah. That's
Oh,
really what it comes
hey,
down to.
man, these negative ways, man. I mean, you're assuming the government is not out there to represent the people, and look at poor Jason Steele. I mean, he's an honest individual. I had preconceived, ideas about him. It's like, hey, shut up, Fleming. This is my story, and I want to tell it.
Greg,
I think
command mute.
Brian's got a
Greg,
different
command mute.
story.
I'm going to make a YouTube video, so stay tuned.
All right, guys. All right, let's go on to we have no old business. Moving on to new business. Election of director at large. The vacancy is only for 1 more month. Do we have anybody that would like to nominate somebody or nominate themselves to be director at large for the next 30 days or less until we have the annual business meeting?
There's no
Anyone?
purpose to have a director at large for, wait a minute.
30
no,
days?
Never
Not
mind.
really.
I retract.
Oh. All right. Moving on to discussion about annual business meeting date and venue. The venue? I was under the impression we were going to do it at the office. Does anyone have an alternative venue they would like to propose?
I thought there was a motion to approve a venue.
There's no motion on deck. It's just a discussion.
Isn't there a motion on
Mr.
deck,
Chair.
Greg?
So
Greg?
I did make a motion to approve the expenses for a venue if we select one that needs expenses. I was under the
Correct.
impression we were going to do the office, but I wanted to open it up for discussion to see if that's what people actually wanted to do.
Well, you can't do the office without paying for it, right?
Correct.
Correct.
Much though I wish otherwise.
Okay. So where are we? Do we want to move to the motion, or do we want to talk about it now?
We're discussing whether or not if anyone has alternative venues to propose.
We can do it at, I think we can do it at Brian's house. We'll burn a little, bamboo, inhale a little carbon monoxide or whatever comes off of bamboo.
I've heard that Brian's neighborhood's in an uproar the last 2 weeks, so I'm going to stay out of Brian's neighborhood.
Well, they've always
They
been in
got
an
all
uproar ever
sorts of
since he
stuff
moved
going
in.
on.
Ever since he moved in.
I got cars being towed and all kinds of stuff out there.
Yeah.
I guess the
smoking
other
fucking
question I
bamboo and
have
shit.
for the annual meeting is, aside from the venue, which I kind of assumed we would go with the office, but I wasn't committed to it. Do we want to still do it on the Monday afternoon, or do we want to do it a different date and time?
Brian says no.
Sent out
No
any
on
announcements on that.
Anybody who's got a job ain't gonna make no Monday afternoon thing, are they?
Monday
Brian?
after,
I'm not.
All right, Brian, put his
Monday
hand up. You got the floor.
Yeah,
Brian?
it needs to be on the weekend.
Absolutely.
I agree with that too.
I
We can do it
mean,
at like 7 a.m. on Saturday.
oh
I,
yeah, that's
I do
awesome.
not concur with 7 a.m.
5 a.m.
Ooh,
5 a.m. There we
You know
go.
what?
Ty's ready for
Don't you
PT
have some
and then annual
goddamn
business
events to
meeting.
coordinate, bitch?
That's the event right there.
I think yeah, I think we should come up with Saturday.
Yeah.
The issue with January, of course, is that we'll be in competition for that third weekend is the state convention. So the 19th through the 21st is the state convention. So personally, I think it should be
The
probably
13th?
oh, okay. I was gonna say after that, but tomato,
Oh, you
tomato.
got the 13th and the 27th.
Yeah. I mean,
Brian?
tomato to me,
Brian?
personally. Yeah.
Do you happen to know how many people in Brevard County go to the state, are going to be going to the state convention?
Yeah, I know 2 are so far.
Oh, Ty, Jesus Christ. The usual suspects.
I
You know,
won't be, but I
Rick-
also won't be available that day for other reasons that are why I can't go to the state convention.
What? Due to you mean lack of interest? That's my reason for not going.
Anyhow, yeah, I'm good with either one personally. I mean, I would prefer it later in the month, but I'll go to the 13th also. So I don't care either one. And I would think midday would probably be best. You either do it mid-morning or mid-afternoon, one of those twos.
So to piggyback on one of the suggestions that
Sorry,
was
Greg.
made earlier, we could always use the morning for a park cleanup or other social event, break for lunch, and then reconvene for the business meeting. I think we have done that before, haven't we?
We've done beach cleanup
Yeah.
2 years in a row now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I would duplicate what was done last year and just because, I hate to say it, but that's an opportunity to try to draw some people in. But we have to show some kind of a vision for that.
Marie,
I
you
don't-
have
I-
your hand up.
I'll just put out there, whatever Saturday it is, 10 a.m. is the earliest that I'll be available because I've got other obligations in the morning, so.
Me too. It's called sleeping.
Well, yeah, I mean.
I wish that were
could
the
take
truth.
More sleep for that, but yeah.
Oh, you got a couple of years. You'll be retired soon.
A couple. Wow.
Hey, the money he's making, he could retire now.
So we could do a cleanup 10 to 12, break for lunch, and then reconvene at 1:30 or 2, maybe.
And then maybe just suggest where to eat,
Yeah, and we can
because if
suggest
want-
lunch and have that
Yeah.
on the agenda.
Well, what was the cost last year to bring in the food, Brian? Do you
That was
remember?
2 years ago.
That was 2 years ago.
2 years ago? No.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you remember what the cost was to have that catered?
Mm.
I do. It was
I certainly
$500.
do.
How much? How much?
So $432.
Yeah, 432. It wasn't exactly 500, but yeah, it was 432.
I think the motion was for 500.
Yeah,
And it
yeah.
came
we-
Motion was for 500 to round it up.
Yep. That's exactly what
Well,
happened.
if I could get a commitment that we would build this up as something that try to engage the Libertarian Party for next year, I'd be willing to sponsor the cost to cater food. Discussion.
What are you looking for when you say build this up specifically?
Well, tell people that there's a reason
on.
to get involved, to come out, to get to
I
You know?
I'm on a meeting.
uh-oh.
Sorry, I had somebody walk into my town hall. Hang on. Sorry.
It's an opportunity for 2024. It's the beginning of a new year. It's an election year. If we don't build up some kind of a interest in the group to bring people out, then we're failing. And if you have to offer them a free fucking meal, but I have to see some commitment that we are all behind that idea that we're gonna have a professionally organized event that says, hey, we want you to come out, free meal. I'll pay the money for that. We have the ability to advertise it, right? We need to find some reason why these people show up. They're not going to show up for these meetings. I don't know why I did. Never mind. But it's an election year next year. I would think we should try to build up some interest in the group. And if it takes hosting and having food and a facility, I'm willing to try to do that. But you have to be organized to try to do that. So if it's a budgetary issue, if we advertise it properly and try to excite people, I'm willing to spend some money to get that happen. Because those people that come in, they're going to be the people that build the momentum for the rest of the year.
All right. Marie, your hand went up first, and then Brian, you're on deck.
Okay, I don't think that having funds to provide food is an issue. I mean, I do appreciate the offer to help provide funds. Having communication, where, we've attempted communication in multiple ways, and I know you're aware of this because you did communications before me, and, we worked on the mailers and stuff together. We've been doing emails and trying to find different ways to reach people, ran into some issues trying to do text messaging. Yes, I agree that we need a plan on how to get people involved and get them riled up and wanting to show up to things. Whether or not we can have some grand revolution on that all of a sudden we find the magic key to make it happen in the next month. I'm not sure that that'll happen. But I am happy to have assistance as the communications or outreach chair, whatever the title is. I think it's outreach, to try and find out how to get people to show up. But I found that even in the past, when we advertise the annual business meetings, that's just doesn't seem to be something that gets people particularly excited. And this is not trying to be a negative Aunt Nancy. I'm just trying to be realistic that we're the weird ones that seem to get excited about actually showing up to business meetings. And that's not what the general people want to do. So I'm open to suggestions on how to get people excited to come to an annual business meeting. But as the outreach chair, I'm kind of at a little bit of a loss right now on how to get people particularly excited about that to make an ROI on spending funds on food. Right now, I would see that as a waste of money. But I'd be willing to work with others to try and come up with ideas on how to get people excited, but we are limited both on time and the avenues of reaching people on how in the next 1 month to all of a sudden get a whole bunch of people excited for a type of business meeting that they're not typically excited for without some other draw.
All right, Brian, the floor is yours. Rick is on deck.
Sweet. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, Marie, I completely agree with what you're saying, but I think what we should do right now, rather than looking at the big picture, is one, let's just pick the date and time that we want to do it. I think let's narrow this down a little bit. I think this is the discussion that we should have, but I don't think having it at the general meeting is going to produce the fruits that we want. Like right now, if we sat there and said that, okay, we want to do A, B, and C, well then, let's give the left and right boundaries. And Marie, I'm more than willing to help plan and do some other stuff that we need to get done in order to make that happen. But I think that should be happening during during the outreach committee sort of meeting. Where if we just sit there and say we want to have it, I can't remember the damn date, the 13th, the
13th or the 27th.
13th, let's just say for right now, the 13th, and we do two things. We want to have a beach cleanup, and then we want to have the meeting after lunch, and then we suggest a place for lunch. I think if we have those parameters, and then we can build everything else inside of that during the outreach meeting. That would be my proposal right now. If we could agree on those three things, the date, the time, and what we're doing ish, then we can come out with a more formulated plan later on. Doing it right now, I think we'd sort of be spinning in circles. That's just my 2 cents, but I'm willing to help with that also. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Sorry, now you can hear me. Thank you, Brian. Rick, the floor is yours.
Hey, my point is that, we're coming into an election year. We have a candidate, right? I mean, Nathan, you are running for County Commission District 1. And we can't, we're going to fritter away an opportunity to bring people into the party. And we got to get them excited. Now, these meetings that we're having right now, nobody wants to fucking go to these. This is the inside baseball bullshit. But can't we advertise something that says now, and I can say, hey, Fred, you've got some money. Are you willing to throw some money to try to bring some people into the party? This is an event. Is it an event? I'm willing to throw some money at it, but I don't want to waste my money if the rest of the party's not behind it.
Yeah. No.
Come to the thing and get a free meal and listen to what we have to say, and hopefully you get involved. Now we're missing a major opportunity if we don't do it. And I've never been objecting to spending my money, but I won't spend my money without a fucking objective. Now, you can say, hey, we've had socials, nobody shows up. I mean, I went down to the, Lone Cabbage Camp and, Greg Peel showed up and we had a great time. We did. But, people not going to show up for these kind of meetings, but maybe they'd show up to say, hey, there's some possibility. We've got some hope of an alternative to next year. This is a key. 2024 is going to be a key year. And if we can't capitalize, then what are we wasting our time for? And I'll throw money at that. But you have to show me there's some kind of commitment from the rest of the group. You know, we have an email server, we have MailChimp, we can send out the emails. All we can do is try, but unless we try to energize the community, it's not going to happen. Now, as I understand it is, Fred over there has some money. That money doesn't expire till the end of the year. Is this an event? I think it is. And I think we should spend some money on it. I'm willing to kick some, I'll do matching funds. Give people a reason to come out and try to have some hope. That's all I'm saying. And if you don't communicate that idea and you don't work to that idea, then it's not going to happen.
So I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, let me throw this out there then, because we have yet to use this card. We still have a venue at Brevard Zoo. We can pick a date. If the 27th of January is available at the zoo, we can throw an annual business meeting at the zoo. We've already paid for it. It would cost us nothing, and you can make this a bigger event. It's a possibility.
That has to be something everybody gets behind.
So
I don't
Mr.
give
Chair,
a
let
shit
me
what
add
I
a,
don't give a shit
caveat
what
to
the
that.
venue is.
Mr. Greg, you said something?
Yeah, let me add a caveat to what you just stated. We have paid for half of the venue.
Okay, this is true.
The
You
deposit
have a
was-
point.
So we would still owe the remainder of the balance, which may or may not be the same amount we originally approved.
Now, mind you, that was supposed to be for a big event to get people excited and come out. It was not meant to be a business meeting.
Mm-hmm.
But a business meeting is all relative. If it's a business meeting that is planning the way forward, don't make it all about the business. Make it about what are we trying to do and what can we accomplish in 2024. And the decisions will be made based on what people engage and say, this is what we want to do in 2024. We're going to flounder the opportunity for all these people that don't trust the Republicans anymore. They don't trust the Democrats anymore. We're going to flounder that. And we're going to flounder it because we're not engaging them. Don't ask them to come to a business meeting. These things are boring. I can't believe I'm here. Come out, get a free meal, and listen to what the libertarians can do. I don't know how else to say it.
So, Mr. Chair, may I kind of wrap this up?
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Peel.
Our problem is not money, even though we also don't have enough of that. Our problem is people showing up and say that someone
Yeah,
else
much.
should do all the planning.
How much you got before the end of the year, buddy? Use it or lose it.
So if somebody wants to execute this, I would be entirely behind whatever people want to do. I just can promise you that I do not have any time prior to the 20th. So I do agree with Brian's suggestion. Let's peg down a date, time, and rough agenda. We can always pivot from there.
Shit.
I mean, we do have to put notice anyway, just for our own bylaws. I
gotta
personally would say,
admit,
given
my
the
internet
constraints
connection's a little
offered,
freaky.
that we probably should aim for the 27th, so that if we are trying to do outreach, we have time to actually execute it. Because there ain't
Okay.
nothing getting done in the next 4 weeks. Most people are going to be occupied with holidays the next 2 weeks, and then there's LPF gone.
All right, but I'm just saying it's.
Now, if
I
somebody
don't-
has the time, interest, and availability to execute a strong outreach campaign, we have the budget for it. That's not the problem.
Yeah, but that budget's already allocated, right?
Yep.
What are the constraints?
Approval of either the outreach committee chair for outreach or the events committee chair for events, actual executing events.
So how much, if you add that all together, how much?
The events committee, I think, has 1,000.
Mhm.
And then the outreach committee also has about 1,000 after you subtract out expenses already paid.
All right, so the budget will go away at the end of the year. There's $2,000 there. Is that, did I
Yes.
understand that right?
Now, granted, if we spent all of it, we would be forfeiting even the partial balance budget, but if it's for a good cause, it would be worth it.
Well, let me tell you what, if you don't do anything, the money's there. Do we want to try to do something or not? We have tried and failed Well, let's continue to do that, but let's do it with some earnest focus. I mean, I can get behind, I could throw money at stuff, but I'm not going to throw money at stuff that never gets used. It's like, are we going to go for it or are we not? And I think the yearly say, hey, we're going into 2024. Let's do something. Don't make it about one of these business meetings. Make it about something people can get behind. Now, Nathan, we got a candidate for God's sakes.
Hey,
Can't we
we
get
got-
behind
We have
that?
two candidates.
Hey, Rick, can we let Marie talk?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think we got what you're
Let
saying.
me lower
We
my
got-
hand if I can figure out how to help do that.
There we go. All right, Marie, the floor
But
is
we have
yours.
two candidates also. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you, Nathan.
I will put out there that as outreach chair, I do have a budget. I don't need extra money. I need volunteers. And I know that we have an events committee that also has a budget and it needs volunteers. So we need, well, I mean, sorry to speak for you, Ty, but I assume that volunteers would be helpful to your cause. So while I appreciate the offers of money, and as a political party, we always need money to do the things we need to do. We currently have budgets, but we need volunteers to help us. And I would really like if we could pick the date and the time that we're going to try and do this, so that we can take what volunteers are willing to step up and figure out how we can make this into whatever it is that we decide that we want it to be. But I do believe there's a motion upcoming on the agenda for both to an initial budget and to try and set a date.
All right, then let's, with that, I'll take this back and say, let's go ahead and look at the date. We've had the 13th and the 27th thrown out. However, from the body, I'm seeing the 27th appears to be the preferred. So if there's anybody that wants to speak out against the 27th and would prefer the 13th, please speak now.
The 27th is a Saturday, right?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. I don't give a shit as long as we do something.
I'll take that as everyone's okay with the 27th. So,
Yes.
Mr. Secretary, for your records, you can mark down the 27th will be our date. Now let's go with, are we liking 10 a.m. for the beach cleanup and lunch, and then say 1 p.m. for the business meeting? Do we want 1 p.m. or 2 p.m.? We don't want too long between the two.
No, the people will wander off if we do that.
Yes. I'm liking 1. If anybody would prefer 2, please speak now. All right, well, with that, we will take the annual business meeting on the 27th at 1 p.m., Mr. Secretary.
Roger.
Beach cleanup start at 10 a.m. in, say, Cocoa Beach at our normal spot. Is anyone against that? Please speak now.
I'm not against it, but where's the normal spot?
Oh, no, you're fine. It's by Coconuts at the Cocoa Beach
Oh.
Locals Pier. Or not the pier, the local spot.
Right.
By
the coconut.
Coconuts.
Yep, thank you.
Mr.
Oh.
Ty, your hands up.
Yeah, the by Coconuts, that's off Minuteman,
Main
right?
Street. It's Main
So-
Street in Cocoa Beach.
Okay, I don't know why I was thinking the Lori Wilson Park thing, because we've done it there before, the beach
We
cleanup.
did it once there too, and I feel like we had better turnout at the other one.
Okay.
Now, as far as the beach cleanup, can we count on Keep Brevard Beautiful to loan us the equipment?
Probably, I would say let's not count on it. However, if we can get it, that's just a bonus.
Who's assigned to coordinate with Keep Brevard Beautiful to get the grabbers and the shit?
I will personally send a message this week to them, so we're ahead of the game. And we still got to talk about the venue, but I will take that action and message them and ask if we can use the grabbers and the trash bags and stuff.
Well, we got $75 in them. We should be able to.
Well, we did get the 4 quarters as promised of all their beach cleanup supplies. The only thing we didn't get was the sign.
Well, they owe us a sign. Give us the fucking cleanup shit.
I don't disagree, so I will send that
All right.
out.
All right.
With that, Greg, I think you hit a button. I lost the screen I was on. I don't know how you get it back. Nope, that's not it. Anyways, let's go to venue. As from the sounds of it, we're going with the Cocoa Beach office. Is there anybody against that and has an alternative venue?
My only comment would be that has there been any attempt to negotiate a price since the price rise with that guy? Because we know he's a libertarian, right?
No, he's not. He's a registered Republican.
I thought he was a libertarian.
He's Liberty Republican. He loves Ron DeSantis too.
Is anybody willing to negotiate with that guy on the price? Do we know what the price is?
Price is listed in the motion. It is 50 plus tax per hour.
How much?
And that is their standard
$50.
price. The only and they cannot give us a discount off their standard price without filing it as a political contribution, which is part of the problem.
Okay. Well, I have no problem, but that's a great location. That's a good. Are they going to extend us the ability to use the break room and the refrigerator?
I believe that is included in the rental as long as we have the main space.
Okay.
I mean,
have
it
no
would
problem
also
with
be
that.
contingent on confirming with them that the space is actually available at that time, but I can't imagine it wouldn't be.
So who's going to take the action to verify we've got a venue?
I
can
will
take that.
already be taking that.
Yeah, if you want to take it, Nathan, I still need to follow up with them anyway because they haven't sent us our last invoice
From when?
from the last meeting before we terminated them.
In September?
Yeah,
Oh, wow. Okay. But yeah, I had already planned on reaching out to Cocoa Beach office for this specific spot or event.
yeah. So Nathan, when you do that, if you do it in writing, please copy me. If you do it over the phone or whatever, just let me know how it goes.
Okay, I will probably send it via the chair email and I will CC you on it.
Very good.
So financially, that's not a problem. Worst case
No.
scenario, how much is that, Greg?
It is in the motion. I have filed a motion for $200 that would cover 3 hours.
And that's not a burden or not going to put us in jail, right?
No.
All
I mean, do I want to spend the money? No, but this is the annual business meeting is important and necessary, and it should be done in person.
I agree. All right.
So, yeah, from a budget standpoint, saying that, I mean, we have unspent events budget if Ty is fine paying for it out of that instead. But I figure since this is a dedicated business meeting, it made sense to budget it separately.
Yeah. Now, then the next question is, Ty, is it acceptable under the events budget, outreach budget, to expense off any monies toward offering lunch?
Well, I would have an issue with it if that's what you're
You would?
asking. No,
You wouldn't? So how much money do you have again?
$1,000.
$1,000? I would be willing to, just as a personal thing. I mean, I stopped contributing to this party because I felt like we weren't focusing on the required stuff. If this is going to be something that we're really going to do and we're going to push it, I'd be willing to match funding for that. So if you're willing to spend 200, I'll match your $200 toward funding for the event. I mean, I'm willing to do that. I didn't. The question becomes: is this an authentic, officially under your control? Can you just tell Greg to cut you a check for $200, $400, whatever? As long as you can, and that's the agreement. We need a reason to bring people in, and I'm willing to spend money on it. But
Yep.
And again, to the point that's been repeated more than once. Sorry, Ty. The money is not the problem and hasn't been. The money is there.
But you know what? You say that, yet there's money in the events budget. We were talking about having a flag waving, and all of a sudden it was like we have to get approval to spend the money. I don't understand.
Approval for who? Who told you needed that events needed approval?
Brian, I don't know. You felt like we needed some kind of approval to spend the money for buying signs. Not true? Then why didn't we buy the signs?
If the events committee has an event that they want to expend money on, the events committee has the authorization to expend money on that event. That was decided.
Why didn't we do
a
flag waving sign for the anti-war shit?
I don't have the answer to that. I didn't sit on the events meeting for that.
Brian raises his hand. Go ahead. Hey,
I can't see hands anymore, guys. Please, something
Brian's got his
happened with
hand
me.
raised,
Yeah,
and so does
sorry,
Sky.
Nathan. Yeah, I raised my hand.
I
Well-
apologize. I cannot see anyone's hands anymore. I don't know what happened.
No, I think Ty and I talked about it, and one of the things we wanted to do, we had ideas for signs, but the problem is that we wanted to put Libertarian Party of Brevard County on there. And
That's great.
my concern was that if we had a sign made and then it wasn't something that the EC liked or something like that, then it was basically just sort of a waste of money. So
It's not
we
a waste
didn't
of
have
money.
enough. Just let me
Not
finish.
having a sign's a waste of money.
Well, I'm not completely disagreeing with you, but what I was trying to say is that because this idea came up in a short amount of time with basically 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, we didn't have enough time to sit there and one, I came up with the ideas and stuff, and two, we narrowed it down to a couple of them, but we were going to get 5 signs, which would have been about $250. But then trying to get everybody, the EC, involved and stuff like that. After my vacation, there just wasn't enough time to sit there and get it done.
But Brian, my point is, you were allocated the money. The EC doesn't need to vote. Only the events and the funding, it's already been approved. You can do whatever you want. You can buy hookers.
I'm
Mr.
okay.
Chair, I move the orders of the day.
Yeah,
All right.
thank you.
Mr. Gregg has moved the orders of the day, so we are going to move forward, ladies and gentlemen. We have already picked our venue, our date, and our time, so that leaves the motion that Mr. Gregg has presented for the expenses. Mr. Gregg, the floor is yours.
Yes, sir. Give me a second to get it pulled up.
And everybody, please remember, I no longer can see you. I cannot see hands, so I will need some words if
You
you'd
need
like
to
to
get
speak,
some more
or put it in
technology
the
there,
chat,
Nathan.
please.
The chairman cannot not be able to participate. You need to fix your shit.
Mr. Chair, am I recognized?
Yes, you're recognized, Mr. Peel. Please continue.
I move to authorize expending up to $200 to rent a suitable venue to conduct the 2024 annual business meeting in person. That is the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Ty.
Mr.
All
Chair, may I
those-
explain the rationale?
Yes, sure. Go right ahead, sir.
So since this is specific to a business meeting, I personally felt it made sense to allocate this separately rather than rating the events budget. The events committee is authorized to adopt additional expenses to support the event for any aspect other than the business. That would be cool. I have no issue with that. This is just to pay for the venue rental for actual business. I have budgeted for 3 hours at $53.25 an hour. So that would be $159.75. Rounding that up to 200 in case we need it, or to cover like incidentals like minor printing and things like that. This would be allocating 3 hours for an annual business meeting. I don't know that we necessarily need that long, but it would be nice if we did. So I figured that was the right time to target. For our regular meetings, we typically budgeted 2 hours rather than 3. Now, this is just a budget authorization. If we end up, for example, if we find out that the office is unavailable, I specifically did not put the venue in the motion. We can reallocate it to a different venue. If we end up spending less than's allocated, that's always welcome. So that's the, this particular motion does assume we are not catering or providing any other amenities at the meeting. That would be covered separately through the events budget if done.
All right, thank you, Mr. Peel. Do we have any discussion on it?
No.
All right, hearing no discussion, thank you, Ty. We are moving to vote on spending on, excuse me, I'm sorry. Moving to vote on expensing $200 for the annual business meeting for the venue with no venue specified. All those in favor say aye.
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 Mr. Chair, I just realized, did we get a second on this?
Yes, we did. Ty seconded.
did.
That's
second.
right. Okay. I hadn't written it down because I was making the motion. Thank you.
No problem.
You're okay. All those against this, please say aye. Okay, I counted 6. Do we have any that are abstaining? All right, with that, Mr. Secretary, it sounds like it was unanimous in voting.
All right.
Motion has been approved.
Yep. Sounds like now the important part is actually executing that now that we have the basics out of the way.
I understand. All right, moving on to public comment. This is a chance for anyone who wants to talk about anything not on the agenda. Go ahead. I can see hands again too.
There are currently none up, but I will let you know
Yep,
if I do.
I know. I can see them now. I figured out how to see them again. I fixed it. All right, so with no hands up, we have no public comments. The next business meeting will be our annual at the Cocoa Beach office, as long as the venue is available. The meeting itself will begin at 1 p.m. on January 27th. The beach cleanup prior to will begin at 10 a.m. Mr. Secretary, does that match what we discussed that you have?
Yes, sir.
Sounds like a wonderful plan. With that, I will call adjournment. You guys have a
Nathan, you got a
wonderful
hand
night.
up.
Oh, okay, go right ahead. Yep, I see it. Ashley, you are recognized.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ash-
It took me a while to try to raise my hand during public comment. I was just gonna
Oh,
say
go ahead, Ashley.
that I apologize for not being able to do the fall and winter events that we had planned. I had some personal things just dramatically happen in my life. But I definitely think that we should do some kind of holiday, either Memorial Day would be nice, or the 4th of July, Independence Day. It's very political. And yeah, we should definitely be doing things like Rick was saying, to get people excited and to get them to come in to the party. There's a lot of people that are just going for Trump right now because they feel like they don't have any other option.
All right, thank you, Ashley. Do we have any other discussion?
Rick's got his hand up.
Yep, Rick, go right ahead.
Are you going to provide food and try to build this up to be some kind of a fundraising membership event?
Yeah, I think
As
we should
far-
always do that. Have it be like fundraising and membership, because we don't want to just spend money and then not have any return on it, really.
Are you guys talking about your Memorial Day event you're proposing?
I'm talking about the damn yearly meeting.
I thought that, yeah, that's what I thought Rick was talking about. I just wanted to clarify.
Ty, do you feel like you is it worth you spending the money? I'll match your funding, bitch.
Yeah, I told you I have no issue with that. We just need
Well,
to,
if you don't give people reason to show up, we're gonna stagnate and stall.
yeah, well,
I mean, I frustrated in the past. Nobody shows up, but
yeah.
but this is the big thing. This is 2024, right? Is it not?
It is. I mean,
All right, well-
what are we going to do? They didn't show up for barbecue. They didn't show up for the other things. So what would be nice is to get other ideas
What
on,
barbecue?
okay, what do we think is going to get them to show? I mean, we
Free
just
fucking
give,
food is one start.
Well, I'm gonna interrupt a little bit here.
Go ahead, Brian.
Only because we have two committees that we need to get together, and we need to have a meeting like that outside of this meeting to discuss that stuff. I'm not saying that we don't have the discussion, but I think that's something that would be a lot more effective if we sat there and either we could do it via Zoom or whatever. It doesn't matter. But having that meeting just with Marie and Ty and myself and anybody else that wants to join to help plan it out, just so we can narrow it down. We have the parameters right now. We understand where it's going to be. We have sort of an agenda. Let's pause for the cause. I would suggest just for right now. I understand that we want to hot foot it a little bit, but let's pause for the cause a little bit and then come back, with and during those meetings, let's have an outreach and communications meeting together or an outreach and an events committee meeting together. And then we can sit there and we can discuss a little more freely. And I think we'll get more stuff hammered out that way rather than just saying right now, okay, is it going to be the best thing ever? Well, we don't know, but we're going to put our best foot forward to try and make that happen because we're just spinning our wheels just doing that right now.
So when does that
Piggyback
meeting?
on that, the
Who's chairing
executive
that
committee
meeting?
has already issued all approvals needed. It's just a matter of executing.
Right.
So who's chairing the meeting and when is it?
And that's, that's something we're gonna have to, we're not gonna figure that out right now, but
Well,
But
can we put a red X on somebody's forehead today?
Okay, the chair for the events committee is Ty. Ty would have to schedule that meeting. And if the events committee wants to expend any money from the events committee to make the annual business meeting more full of stuff, then they're more than welcome to do that.
And I don't have a problem picking another time to have a meeting. Now, I don't know how to work all this Zoom stuff. So,
Just use Discord. It'll be easier for you. It'll be easier for everybody. Discord's click.
oh, is that where we got to just constantly type and then follow the text stream?
No,
No, you can do a video
Discord,
meeting in
video.
Discord.
Okay, well, I don't know
Video
that.
chat.
I don't know that either.
Okay.
Um,
Brian
maybe-
can help you. Brian's
Yeah.
he's really computer savvy.
I can help you out, Ty.
He knows how this
Good.
shit works.
Yeah, because I mean, if we want to go ahead, if we want to adjourn this business meeting, and then some of us are able to stay on for a few minutes after, we could pick a date and time to meet for the events meeting, and we can discuss the food and beverage option or whatever for our.
I think that is a wonderful idea.
Absolutely. I'll stay online.
So, Mr. Secretary, I am adjourning this meeting at 7:53 p.m. for your records.
Acknowledged.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Ty, just
Yeah.
if you will drop an events committee meeting time and date into Discord so that all members may attend if possible, please.
You're assuming
Okay.
there's going to